The last time we talked, I had just finished the meet, and I'd set my total at 1030, and I had already signed up for our next meet, which was the Dirty South, whatever's after that, I don't know, whatever was next on Mr. Goggins' list of meets. By the way, Steve Goggins does an outstanding job at these things. He and his staff, I guess they're volunteers, just do a spectacular job. It's very well done, the meets in Georgia. So they've all been held at the same, the two that I've been to have been in a DoubleTree and off Windy Hill Road, and the facilities have just been wonderful. So hats off to Steve. Today we're out here in the barn. It's box squat day. For the first two meets, I've done nothing but squat, bench, and deadlift. No auxiliary movements at all, just those techniques. And I don't think that was a good thing. I know why I did it. We'll talk about it here in a few minutes. But where we dropped off was the end of the last meet in October. And it's January now, so we're a little slow. I finished the tournament, the meet, and I was broken. I'd given everything I could. It was probably 6 or 7 days before I could walk to the mailbox and back without fear that I wasn't going to make it. And there's about a 40-foot drop in elevation there, but it's only about 150 feet each way. Excuse me. When I registered for the next tournament, I had registered at 275 because I didn't want to cut again. But when it started getting closer and closer, I realized I had lost weight. There is a squirrel on the roof and it is just distracting the devil out of me. That as we got closer and closer, I realized I was only going to weigh about 245 if I did nothing. So I went ahead and cut the weight. I'd prepared in a very similar way as I did to the first time, but it was even less work because my body was getting better at handling the stress, and I was never sore. Excuse me. And I was doing squat one day, and then bench, and then deadlift, and then bench again, and I was skipping a day in between each one. So I was doing deadlift once every 8 days, and I was doing squat once every 8 days, and I was doing bench press twice every 8 days. And the volume just wasn't enough. I wasn't tired enough. It was too easy. I remedied that getting ready for this next meet that's going to be in February. The rack arrived on the 4th, and that was a big deal because now I could do real squats and put real weight on the bar for the first time. And that was one of the reasons why I did what I did, because I kept hoping that the squat rack was going to come in, and once I learned when it was actually going to arrive, I set my schedule around it. But be that as it may, the squat rack has been a godsend. It is more sturdy. I mean, nothing on the old bench I had, which I broke, I told you that, and it's in the dump now. It was moving all the time, and it was so discombobulating to have anything significant on you on that bench. Now that I've got this rack, it's night and day. Confidence level in my equipment has gone up. It's safer. Just having these bars here so that I can't drop the bar across my neck, That's a big deal when you're working out by yourself. What I was doing before, I would not advise anyone to do that. It simply was unsafe working out on that old bench without safeties by myself. So that's a big deal. And the rack is flexible in that I can do so much more with it than I could with just the old bench. Everything I do now, and I'm doing a lot more than I was, is inside the rack with the exception of deadlifts. And man, what a difference. Makes the whole experience not, I won't say it's more pleasurable, but it's certainly safer. And it's something that you're not concerned about anymore. I highly recommend picking up a rack if you're going to be lifting weights, especially anything over 300 pounds, by yourself. I mean, it's just literally a life or death situation, and it's get a good bench, a solid rack, and you'll be happy. All right, I told you about the schedule and what I was doing. But it wasn't enough. There wasn't enough volume in what I was doing to facilitate growth. So when I went into this next meet in December, right before Christmas, it was the 19th, December 19th. I was still basically working with the same muscle I had before. I'd gotten stronger, but I hadn't gotten any bigger at all. If anything, I'd continued to lose fat, and I was a smaller guy going into the meet. I did weigh in higher. I weighed in at 240.7 instead of 240.0. Well, that was just because I trusted my scale now. I didn't trust my scale before. What else? When I was getting ready for the meet, because I hadn't had a lot of volume, I felt like I had just backed up in a lot of senses. Yes, I had been able to do squats, and I was confident that my squat numbers had gone up. But I wasn't confident at all. Doing bench press twice in 8 days wasn't enough volume for me to be confident that I'd gotten stronger going into the bench press. And when I did deadlift, I had started the 2 months saying that I was going to switch to sumo because I saw people doing it and they were picking up and it just seemed easier because my back would stay straight. I found a chart and I read the chart and it says, oh, you should absolutely be doing it sumo style. And it just didn't work. And my son, I showed him what I was looking at and he said, oh, you're reading the chart wrong. And I was like, what? Not only had I read the chart wrong, in other words, I'd switched the axes when I was reading it, I also measured my torso wrong. And so it turns out that instead of being in the uppermost corner for doing it the way I should be sumo, I was in the exact opposite corner that said I should be doing conventional. So anyway, I only got about 3 weeks in of workouts with conventional deadlift, and that was all the heavy stuff. So I built no muscle in my back chain for increasing my deadlift. And so when I went into the second meet, I wanted to push my numbers up, but I wasn't confident that I'd put the work in to make it happen. And that'll bring us to the next video.